Rick Smith against the resolution on item 12.7, 261 Jamberoo Mountain Road, Jamberoo. Rick, yeah. Thanks, Rick.
Cool. All right.
5 minutes.
Okay, yep. Okay, I've got a lot of ground to cover in 5 minutes. Thank you for this evening. I've been working with Lachlan on our DA submission, what's permissible, and I've been also working with all our neighbours on our property for the last 7 months. The first 30 pages of the submission that's been put to council has nothing to do with our DA application, and not one of these items has been raised as a concern by council staff over the last 7 to 12 months. So obviously I've only received that document a couple of days ago, and from the fruit of that, it looks like it's been put at the last minute to mislead the councillors and affect our DA application. We can speak to the unapproved works if we have time, but if every one of them is permissible without DA consent and comes under the classed as farm works under our existing DA approval for our dam. I can choose to read our council LEP. I can read it as half full, I can read it as half empty. Well, I choose to read it as half full. So in other words, what can I do? I can have a farm gate on our property. I can build 200 square metre sheds. I can have a wholesale nursery. When we first lodged our DA, there was a home business component that received 9 concerns, and that's why it's up at the council today. This was removed as a component of our DA, so now we have in the DA for just the farm gate, the 2 sheds and the wholesale nursery. Hence, when it was re-advertised, there was no further neighbour objections. In regard to the document procured by council staff, I'll put the staff into 2 categories: the planning department, and the other department category is the coordinator. All of the planning department have no problem with our plans, and then there is the coordinator who, in his opinion, we don't meet the council LEP objectives. As little as 4 weeks ago, the only point the planners told us what was still an issue was the farm gate component. In Lachlan's word, he told us that there was no guidelines for farm gate here in the Kiama Council LEP, and he steered us to the Tweed River Council LEP for farm gates. And I've actually given everyone a copy of that. What you'll see on that, it shows a shipping container with a 2-bob lean-to shack at the front, with perpendicular parking right on the main drag of a major tourist route. Obviously, this was going to not only look unsightly, it was definitely going to disturb the neighbours, and it's also going to be a safety hazard. The second photos I've given you is our actual farm gate. These plants are already planted, and we've planted already now over 450 plants or trees in the 3 acres that I've designated for our farm gate location. The LEP has 3 points for a farm gate that need to be addressed: a minimum of a 15-metre setback, not in a permanent structure, and less than 75 square metres. Our DA, or our application, addresses every single one of these points. In short, I was led to believe the only issue we had left with our submission was the location of the farm gate. I agreed to disagree with Lachlan, and I asked him to submit our application on that basis. The types of products we'll be selling in our farm gate will be homegrown eggs, honey, pecan nuts, baked goods from our pecan trees, homemade crafts, sculptures, fresh flowers and wreaths. Our whole family are creative, and they just make stuff, and hence want the opportunity to be able to sell it as per the DA Council LEP. Approximately 12 months ago, we set up a wagon out the front just to trial a farm gate, just to see if it would actually work, selling eggs, flowers, plants, homegrown pecans, all that sort of stuff. One of my foster children is a baker. She cooked up some pecan slice from our pecan trees. $70 she sold in 3 hours. So we asked ourselves, is this viable? Yes, it's a viable thing, but we've got to be able to sustain it, and we've got to be able to do it in a way that actually is feasible. We also, whilst we had it down the front, we had it set up because our home is 450 metres up the road. We can't see the farm gate from our home. We tried an honesty box down the front. Not only did we have produce stolen, we also had money stolen. We also had winds, the high winds in this area, as you all know, blow our cart over, ruin all our produce. We had temporary structures out the front that blew across the road. Also we had no toilet facilities down there for whoever was going to be working in the farm gate. This issue is bigger than our little farm gate application. It's about Jamberoo Valley having a sustainable future. We have no diversity. We have to diversify from a few cows on pasture land to see our green rolling hills still viable, and that they will be brought up rather than your McMansions from your weekend warriors coming down from Sydney. That's not going to help sustain our countryside. Local farmers have told me that we can only raise 1 cow per 2 acres. So the 3 acres that I've set aside for the farm gate is probably equates to about 1.5 cows over 2 years. That's about $1,500. Now that's not even going to pay the rates. We've been through the LEP and all the tourism documents, the right to farm documents, all procured by council. We believe we have met every single concern and need of those documents.
I'll have to ask you to finish up now. Rick.
Okay, 2 things. In regards to the in regards to one point was the retail nursery component, where permissible by council is the wholesale nursery. Obviously, any leftover plants will be selling in the farm gate. The rest of the plants are mainly sold to my customers, which I design landscape works for major land holdings. Addressing concerns, one of the concerns, Tiny House Village. Oh my gosh, I came to council 12 months ago. I spoke to Lachlan. He then spoke to his superior, who came back to me and said, yes, I can legally have 2 tiny house or caravans on my property. It's in accordance with the New South Wales state legislation and also the council LEP. So it's not illegal. They've contradicted themselves. All the other things that are confessing to be illegal works, like I'm changing water courses. There's no...
Rick,
that's it.
thank you. Okay then, councillors, are there any questions? Councillor Rice.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. And thanks, Rick. I mean, obviously you ran short of time there, but you gave us a bit of the picture. And in relation to a picture, this is what I want to ask you. What I take on board the tweed stuff you've got, and I did notice that those tweed ones do seem to be within range of the main road, but with the pictures that you've presented to us of your farm gate that you've already constructed, what is the farm gate on these last
farm gate
pictures?
I've proposed is just open air farm gate, 75 square metres on benches overlooking my property. So no structures.
It doesn't exist already. I thought you mentioned
that
one of these photos showed the farm gate.
Yeah, in that respect, in the distance, obviously, there are a couple of caravans that you can see. The other photos are showing the plants that we're growing on our site to be able to sell in the wholesale nursery, so people can actually see the plants that we grow on site. The farm gate itself is just an open air farm gate next to our shed. Things will be stored in our shed. We can move them outside the shed into the farm gate for sale.
So the shed you're talking about, though, is the building you've got the DA in for, the
That's
one
right,
up above the dam?
Exactly, which will be, main reason is for hay storage, machinery shed, and for the wholesale nursery component of our submission.
Okay, thank you for that. And I had another question as well about, you mentioned that in the DA for your dam, as a result of the farm works emanating from the DA for your dam, you were legally able to construct the pad for where you want to build this shed. Is that clearly stated in your DA, what you're supposed to do with the spoil from the dam?
In the spoil from the dam, there's already a natural area where we've actually got the pad. So the figures nominated by the planners or planner is grossly overinflated. There was already a level area. All we've done is, yes, stockpiled a little bit more spoil there. However, like I said, the cubic metres nominated are just way off base. In regards to the contour banks, I have not changed any water courses. There was no water courses on this section of land. As part of our farm works, of course, I've directed water, underground water, into our dam. There was no water running across the land. Once you break the surface of the topsoil, expose the clay, that any seepage that goes under the ground hits the clay invert of the contour bank, and it steers down to our actual dam itself. And then when it gets full, I've paid for 4 cubic metre, or actually 10 megalitres. I paid 25 grand for in bureaucracy and licences and brokers for the right to have 10 megalitres extra water storage on my property. Now, when my dam gets full and I reach this dam's capacity of 4 cubic metres, it runs back into the creek prior to leaving our property. So I'm not starving anybody else. I'm not starving the creek, and I'm not. My application does not, like I said, the works in order for the dam to work are in keeping with farm works that you do on a farm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions, councillors? If not, thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
this
very
will
much.
be brought forward tomorrow evening.
Thank you very much.